at the falcon. The falcon sees the meat moving. It can't help itself. It grabs the meat.
Nice.
While the moment the falcon is grabbing the meat, the person has to hide the thing. He never wants the falcon to see that he's taking it. So the falcon doesn't realize what happened to the... But for that moment, his attention was on the flying meat. They can't stop themselves. If there's a piece of flying meat, it doesn't matter how many times it's going to happen, he'll run after the piece of flying meat. So... and leave the big catch, and the other person will hide it in a bag. And this without fail. It doesn't matter how many times. So we also have instincts we're born with, that we develop, that are like animal instincts. The thing is, what it is to be human is that we start learning, well, I know I acted in an impulsive way, but I'm thinking maybe it wasn't the right thing to do. That's what it is to be human. So that's what a carbon is. That's all a carbon is. It's to distinguish between... Okay, now that sounds very intellectual. Meaning it's like, this allows us to be intellectuals. It sounds like a Chabad, Soloveitchik way of understanding, but we're Kalbach here. We want to understand this more emotionally. What does this mean? Okay, so I understand that bringing the offering allows me to see the concept of what it's like. What is my animal like? So how do I have to bring it into control? And what is the fire? And here's where it gets more interesting. So it's not just like a way of kind of analyzing my actions. That's a person should always be judging their actions and thinking about, it's like Pirkei Avos says, weigh out the benefit of the Avera against the cost of the Avera. Okay, so that's one aspect of the Karbanot, is I'm able to see my instincts for what they are as instincts and be able to get over it. But here's the other thing. It's really about kapara. It's really about atonement and forgiveness. You see, the other thing is once we do something and then we judge ourselves and find ourselves short of what we do, let's face it, what do we spend most of our day doing? Either something wrong or feeling guilty about it. Okay, sometimes we do something right in the middle of the day. We find a little bit of time to do something that we're actually proud of. But the rest of the day, we're either like that falcon, just running after whatever, something moving in front of us, and then, but because we're human, we're feeling guilty, right? So here's what the karbanos offer. The process of the carbon is that you bring it under the fire. What does the fire represent? A fire represents a burning connection to God. But what had to go into the fire? The thing that most closely resembled the part of you that flew away or followed an instinct that separated you on some moment, on some level from God. And that's what has to be brought into the fire. So... Some offerings, like the Shlomim, the peace offering, was divided three ways. The owner and the Kohanim and the Mizbeach all got a section, part of it. What does that represent? That represents peace in the world. Why? Because that represents sometimes you have to make peace with... The Zohar has an obsession with figuring out how to deal with the negative parts of existence. Zohar believes that evil isn't just within you. Zohar believes evil is real. It's not like some of the Hasidic philosophies kind of made evil. It's just like an illusion. It's all good, really. We just have to figure it out and see that God is really behind it. The Zohar, evil there's something there. So much so that many discussions about specific offerings, specifically the Seir LaAzazel, the goat that was sent into the desert, and to some degree the Seirim that were brought on Rosh Chodesh, and some degree the Shlomim that we're talking about right now. There's an aspect of giving giving some part of that to the other side. Sounds a little bit idolatrous. Other side, the Sitra Achra. Sitra Achra.
To the devil.
To the devil. Azazel. The Zohar says beferish that when it comes to Azazel, it's you have to give the devil. Doesn't use that word. You have to give the devil its dues.
Yeah.
You have to accommodate the other side. So in a sense, part of the Zohar is saying you have to fight against the impulses of the other side, but the other part of the Zohar is saying, hey, even that side, there's something there that you just got to get. You can't negate it totally, because the way I explain it to people is like if you didn't have a Yetzer Hara, you wouldn't survive. Now, the fact that the Yetzer Hara isn't always useful, that's your problem. But the essence of its usefulness is unquestioned. So you can't just negate. It's like if we were to say, it's like let's say we were to say, okay, you know what? We're religious people. We shouldn't think about it all how we look. It's like not important.
Look what?
How we look physically. Yeah. But then we'd be taking away something that's very important. You know, it's a very important thing. So the Torah has to be within the kind of realm of what works in this world. So even the karbanot, on some level, help give him a hand, maybe.
He won't let me. No. He doesn't let me.
The karbanot have to be given to us on some level that take into account. Where's your clock?
Timer.
Our timer.
It's 9:59.
Okay, good.
So
Anyway, we're done.
The karbanot is an appeasement, a form of appeasement.
So the karbanot and some aspects of some of the karbanot, like the shlomim, the fact that you give it to everybody on some level represents appeasing the sitra achra. That you have to give even the klipot a little bit of something, so they leave you alone. What's the goal there? Let me just conclude with that. Because if you give them nothing, they're going to come after you and be relentless. But you give them their portion. It's kind of like that falcon. You give the falcon a little piece of meat, and it gives you the big duck.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the different aspects of the kabbanot.
What do we do today?
It's all in the davening.
That's how you appease